Hi, everybody. Dan Franzek, President and co-founder of Healthy Roster, joining you again for another edition of the Athletic Trainer of the Week. And this week, I am pleased to be joined by a fellow Ohioan, Kyle Harper. She works with Akron Children's Hospital as an athletic trainer there. Kyle, thanks for joining us. Congratulations.
Thanks. Sure thing. This is exciting.
Well, we're excited to have you. And of course, you were nominated for this, so I can't wait to kind of dig in a little bit. But first, before we get to the AT stuff, I got to know, are you a long-suffering Cleveland sports fan like myself? I grew up in Northeast Ohio, too.
I mean, I think it's a perpetual illness that you can't really get around. I mean, for being honest, yeah.
I mean, Brown season comes around every year, and this is the year, right? Is this the year for the Browns, Kyle?
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
Right. I love it. When we first met, you were like, "I'm from Akron, you know, where LeBron James is from," and that's what we got to hang our hat on a lot of times,
right?
until the Browns win a Super Bowl one of these years. Well, I appreciate you being here, and so would love to learn a little bit more about you. Are you from Northeast Ohio originally, or where's home?
I am born and raised Akron, Ohio. Went away for college, but in Ohio, and Akron's just a great city, a perfect size, and we have a lot to offer, especially in the sports medicine world, for sure.
You certainly do, and it's such a great department too. I know Dr. Congini loves what you guys are doing. It's a great place to work. I've heard great things about what you guys are doing. Well, number one, you guys are customers of Healthy Roster, but number two, you just have a lot of great people that are working up there. So what makes it such a great environment to be an athletic trainer there at Akron Children's in your estimation, Kyle?
Yeah, well, I think you hit the nail on the head. Dr. Congini is a force. Anytime you talk to him, like I joke that because I have an athletic background, right? I was an athlete. So I feel like whenever you talk to him, like I am just ready. I'm ready to run through that brick wall. I'm ready to take on any initiative that needs, taken on. But so it comes from the top, right? And he just has set everyone up for success. And we always know that he has our back. We try so hard at Children's to create that growth mindset and be on the cutting edge constantly. And I think we do that successfully. I've worked for several other hospital systems in Northeast Ohio, and Children's by far has just been an amazing experience. I think I've been there 6 years now. And just the quality of care for our patients, the care for employees. We know that the hospital cares about us and they have our back, and that's invaluable in my opinion.
So great to hear. Very well articulated too. So what sport did you play? You said you were an athlete yourself.
I played soccer, through everything, college, high school, college, and and now I'm still around soccer, and once you're in it forever.
So you were in the high school setting then, I take it?
I am. I'm at Akron Firestone, and actually I graduated from Akron Firestone. It's a really neat experience where I feel like I'm giving back to the community. Yeah. On top of just, I feel like our line of work is a very stewardship, outreach environment anyway, but it just gives it the extra little feeling of pride, I guess.
So what brought you into the profession? Did you have an athletic trainer at the time that you wanted to, that kind of drew you to the profession, or what was it about maybe being in soccer, having an injury, or what was it that brought you to the profession, Kyle?
So growing up, we didn't have, or in high school, we didn't really have a dedicated athletic trainer like we do now. Yeah. We have these full-time athletic trainers. They're always there. You know them. You have personal interactions almost every day. But this is kind of a silly story, but when I was at soccer camp, when I was young, I had these gnarly blisters because, wearing brand new shoes to a soccer camp, how is that a bad idea? And the athletic trainers just took so much time and care to try and fix these blisters, and I don't know, just something that simple, but it was so impactful that that's what led me to you can do this for a living. You can be around athletics, still practice medicine, work with a demographic that's highly motivated, and they're going to pay me to do this.
That's so great.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I see the same things. I hear a lot of the same things about just kind of as you get older, it gets more competitive, and every little nuance of what you do matters so much, and that includes your health. And I came across an article recently that was published that you were a part of, and it was talking about the 3 kind of rules athletic trainers stand by in your mind, which, by the way, you had a great picture of your family, which is awesome to see. I want to get into that in just a little bit. But talk a little bit about these. We'll hit them one at a time. Rest and recovery is non-negotiable. What are your thoughts around that when it comes to not only your athletes, but anyone who's watching this?
I think that's a great place to start, because I think in this youth athletic culture that we live in, it's bigger, faster, stronger. You have to train harder. You need to throw 1,000 pitches to get better, right? And I feel like rest is seen as a punishment, where in reality, especially these young bodies, they need that rest. They need the recovery in order to perform at their optimal level, right? You can't keep pouring from an empty cup. Right. I felt like it was the number one to really get that information out there and hit home on the importance of rest. Again, you can't recover, you can't get stronger without that rest period.
The second one was incorporating flexibility and mobility. So my sport is running. Sport is a relative term. Okay. So I do need to do more rest, definitely. But then flexibility, mobility, I don't do that enough. And I hear so many people talking about this as an important thing, but it gets overlooked by so many athletes. Why do you stress it as an important thing for your athletes?
So the first thing with flexibility and mobility, I think people forget, again, the culture is bigger, faster, stronger. But again, you can't get bigger, faster, stronger if you don't have that flexibility, that mobility in these joints, right? So a healthy joint, it's strong, yes, but mobility is key. I talked with a friend she's a professional athlete, and she said, if I knew as a youth athlete about flexibility and mobility, how many injuries I could have prevented, how much farther, faster I could have gotten without, having to take all those steps back. And I think with running especially, you work in one plane realistically, right? But that's not how the human body moves. So to have that mobility and those exercises in different planes, I mean, it's huge. When athletes come to me with like, oh, my knees hurt, my back hurts, I didn't do anything, I'm like, all right, let's work on this hip mobility circuit that we've kind of like fine-tuned, where it's like, all right, let's get some glute activation, let's get this moving. And they're like, oh, I feel like a new person. And I'm like, oh, isn't that something?
So funny. I mean, we're talking about like little things that make big impacts, and it's so easy to do, but it's so important for you to recognize these things and bring it to everybody's attention. We're talking with Kyle Harper. She's the athletic trainer of the week for us at Healthy Roster, and she hails from Akron Children's Hospital in Northeast Ohio, home of LeBron James, in case you didn't know. And we're talking specifically about the 3 things that athletic trainers stand by to keep young athletes in the game, and these are her kind of teaching tools, if you will. So the first one, to go over it again, rest and recovery, non-negotiable. Incorporating flexibility and mobility, exercise are a must. And the third thing, really, really exciting to hear you say this, and I want to get a little bit more of your take on this. Teaching kids positive self-talk, important for strong mental health. Now, some people who aren't maybe familiar with the evolution of the athletic trainer wouldn't think about mental health as something that you have in your toolkit. But the more I talk to athletic trainers, the more I hear how important this is. And it can come from anybody, but the fact that it's coming from an athletic trainer too, I think means a lot. And I'm anxious to get your take on that and what your thoughts are.
I think mental health, and even just to break it down as simple as positive self-talk, and it's always been such an important part. But what I saw like post-COVID was most of what I was doing was just listening, just being a sounding board. And I always say that, the athletic training room is a very sacred place, a very safe place. And again, like post-COVID, these kids like just really needed that
just motivation or just
mental health component. Yeah. Same thing with talking to a friend that's a professional athlete. And, you know, if she had access to a sports psychologist or had any of these tools in her toolbox, again, like how much farther without like the self-doubt, without the negative self-talk, her path could have been different, right? And again, we talk about this culture that youth athletics has kind of put on us. You know, you have the little league parents, you have the parents that, again, are like, you know, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do this? But how about you did this really well? And hey, next time you might be able to do this 3 times out of 4 rather than 2 times out of 4. You know, it's just that positive mindset goes so much farther than people realize, right? So if you're like, the first mile is gonna be awful, I don't want to do this hurts, that hurts, blah, 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 compared to like, hey, I'm gonna rock this run, I'm gonna, you know, make it my, you know what, and we're gonna do this, right?
Yeah,
so that
absolutely.
Right? Even if like your run wasn't that much better, but you still feel better about it. And then the next run might be even better because you had those building blocks. I think it's a cyclical process, right? And having that positive mindset is huge. We're also working on having a mental health emergency action plan within, like, so, you know, we talk about emergency action plans for like if there's a cardiac event, if there's you know, any type of like significant injury. But again, we forget about that mental health component. And, you know, an athlete comes to you with, you know, thoughts of self-harm, you know, suicidal thoughts, that kind of things, like, whoa, what do we do now? But again, you're that first line of defense for not just physical things, but for mental things as well. And so
2 things I hear about that too, since we're on the topic really quick, are number 1, and I know this to be true because it's been proven across the country, that the athletic trainer is the provider that an athlete or a person will see more than any other provider in their life, because you're with them every day. So that's number 1. They got to trust you. They got to talk to you. And if they're feeling comfortable with you, they are sharing some of this stuff. Hopefully they're sharing it with somebody, but a lot of times it would be the athletic trainer. And then number 2 is, and tell me if you agree or if you've seen this, I see and hear a lot of parallels between when an athlete gets hurt and their mental illness. Are you seeing and hearing the same things, Kyle?
Absolutely. It's a direct correlation. What I boil it down to is, okay, so you've been an athlete your whole life, right? You've worked tirelessly 7 days a week, right? That's, you eat, breathe, live your sport. And then you're injured. Your season's over. You're out for 6 weeks. So your identity has been stripped from you, right? That, I feel like that's the crux of it, the best like way to describe it. And that's why it can be so detrimental mentally for these athletes. We've talked with, you know, orthos at Akron Children's that feel that, you know, with like an ACL repair and recovery, that sports psychologist, that should be an automatic, right? That should be an automatic pairing. So, you know, you have surgery and then you go to PT, right? But what about between the ears, right? And if you're not in a good headspace for that recovery, it affects your performance in PT. It affects, you know, how you do in the athletic training room with your home exercises or with your athletic trainer. And then even when you are cleared, having the trust, right, in that knee or that whatever, that you've done the work, your body has done the work, and you're okay. You can trust. You can trust this new ACL that they've created for you, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Oh, they're so lucky to have you at Firestone. I'm so glad to talk with you. I know 3 other people who are really happy to have you in the house too, is your kids, right? You've got 3 kids and your husband obviously as well. Are they athletes, or are they coming into their own and trying new sports? And are they giving you oh, mom, yes, I know, thanks? How does that relationship work?
So Luke, my oldest, he's visually impaired. So we're testing out like what sports will be most advantageous for him. So right now he's swimming and he does golf.
Awesome.
Both sports you can do till you're 80. So, you know, either way. But and then our 5-year-old is, working on maybe some like ballet, maybe some little tot soccer. But X's and O's, it's whatever. It's like this summer they both did swim, and what they realized, I think, which is the biggest thing, was they could do hard things. And man, if we can learn that from a young age, like, I don't know, that's youth athletics. It's not about wins, losses. It's the friends you make. It's the things you learn about yourself. They both got most improved, and that's huge, right? So they were coachable. They finally trusted in their own abilities. Man, that growth was just such a beautiful thing to witness, and that's what it's about. I mean, what is it, like less than 1% are going to make it to a professional level, right? But you take the things that you learn in sports into your job, your work ethic, your positive attitude, your ability to work with others. You're
so applicable,
right? And that's what it's about. Like, it's not, unfortunately, that needs to be what people believe in and push.
Well, we believe in what you're doing at Akron Children's, and it's so awesome to hear kind of your philosophy, your thought process around what you're doing as an athletic trainer. Everybody who's watching this can see what Kyle Harper has been named our athletic trainer of the week from Akron Children's. So glad to have you. Good luck this season. Keep up the great work, and thanks for what you do for our kids up there in Akron. Thank you, Kyle.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yep.